Here comes Electivire. It goes for Tri-Attack. Oh, that's a special attack, though. That's not good for Cleffa. And Cleffa goes down. Welcome to the quarterfinals of MetroMania Season 11. We finalized our quarterfinal brackets last week as Electivire and Elekid took down Cleffa and Clefable. Cleffa and Clefable just couldn't cut it. The electric types move on, and now we finally get the quarterfinals underway. Our first quarterfinal this week is Snorlax and Munchlax versus Mantine and Mantyke. So here we go. The quarterfinals of MetroMania Season 11 are underway. We got Snorlax, we got Munchlax, we got Mantyke, and we got Mantine. Let's bloody go. This could be an interesting one. We have a lot of special defense between these two teams. Not a lot of physical defense, though. Here we see Roar, which is going to fail from Mantine to start things off. Now it's over to Mantyke to try and kind of rectify the mistake. Goes for Bug Bite. Going to steal the held berry of Snorlax and munch it up for itself. So restore that 1 PP. Well done. Haha, PP, very funny. Good job, Mantyke. Now over to Snorlax for its first move of this quarterfinal. What's it going to be? It's going to go for Guard Split. I never really get Guard Split, Power Split. I'm sure one day I'll learn them, but I understand the swap ones, but never the split. The splits confuse me. In fact, doing the splits physically confuses me as well. Here we see Leafage from Munchlax, which is going to do some neutral damage to Mantine there. Nice chunk of neutral damage. Of course, physical defense, not really the strong suit of the Mantyke and Mantine team. Of course, don't forget, by the way, hit the subscribe button, turn on all notifications, I'd appreciate it. Here's a Moonblast from Mantine, though, onto Snorlax for a little bit of chip damage. Of course, the physical defense and the HP, the Eviolite coming into play as well for Munchlax there. We see Petal Blizzard, another grass-type move from Mantyke there onto everybody, basically. Not a great deal of damage dealt to anybody, though. And now Snorlax is going to fire off another grass-type move, which is Power Whip. We're seeing all the grass-type repertoire today for a big physical hit on Mantine there. Big chunk of damage. Mantine already at less than half its max HP. Over to Munchlax now, who's going to go for Sunny Day, which is not a bad play. Reduce the power of water-type moves, which is one of the specialties of Mantyke and Mantine there. So the sunlight is going to turn harsh, and that's going to last for 5 turns. Which way is this going to go? I have absolutely no idea. Over to Mantine, though. What's Mantine going to do at the start of this next turn? It's going to go for Aromatic Mist and increase, I want to say, the special defense of its partner Pokemon. Let's see. Mantyke's special defense goes up by 1 stage, so even more special defense on Mantyke, whose special defense, of course, is powered up by the Eviolite as well as its physical defense, I guess, if you want to call it that. Meteor Mash from Mantyke does barely any damage there to Munchlax, though, because Mantyke doesn't have that physical repertoire. Snorlax, another grass-type move, goes for Seed Bomb for some neutral damage onto Mantine there. Not quite enough to take it down, though. What's Munchlax going to do as the follow-up? Munchlax is going to go for Thrash, which should deal some physical damage there. Oh, more than half Mantyke's max HP in 1 hit with that Thrash, which we know Munchlax is locked into. So the Mantine team needs to take care of Munchlax ASAP, because it is now a big threat. A Brick Break could do it. It's physical, though, which Mantine isn't very proficient in, so it doesn't do a great deal of damage there to Munchlax. What is Mantyke going to do here? Mantyke's going to go for Zen Headbutt onto which of its opponents? Onto the Snorlax, which you've got to think was a bit of a mistake there, because now you know one of you is going to take that Thrash from that Munchlax. Here comes Snorlax, though, with Razor Leaf, another grass-type move onto both opponents, which means Mantine goes down, and that leaves only Mantyke to take that Thrash, and we know it can't handle that Thrash, so we know this round is going to go to Snorlax and Munchlax. That is 1-0, so it's time to hear from our sponsors.
Now look, I'll let you get back to Metromania in just a minute, but let me tell you all about the beautiful sweet nectar of G Fuel. It's a low-calorie, zero-sugar energy formula, and it's absolutely beautiful. Today I am drinking the wonderful The Juice from XQC. It is an absolute belter. Oh, bag that beautiful tropical flavor. That is wonderful. Use code ACE and you can save yourself 10% off G Fuel. Remember though, it's for over 18s only because it contains caffeine, and because it contains caffeine, just drink it responsibly. Don't be a dickhead. Use code ACE though, if you're not a dickhead. Yeah.
So here we are with round 2. Snorlax and Munchlax lead in this quarterfinal with Mantine and Mantyke trailing 1-0. Can Mantyke and Mantine claw back the equalizer, or are Snorlax and Munchlax going to cement their place in the semi-finals? Here's Mantine starting things off with Torment, which is a great play right there. Guarantee that Snorlax has to use Struggle every other turn. That's a brilliant starting play right there. Really digging your heels in there. And we get Spore from Mantyke onto Snorlax, though. That would have been a great job onto Munchlax, but now Snorlax now can't use moves for the next few turns because it's asleep, which means the Torment's being wasted. That wasn't a smart play there. Here we see Munchlax, though, with Water Pulse, which is going to deal not very effective damage to Mantyke there, and we know that Snorlax is going to be fast asleep, so it's not going to do anything. It already was fast asleep. Never mind. How did I miss that? I have no idea, but here comes Mantine starting things off. We know Snorlax is asleep. It's fine. We see Poison Powder, but it fails because it clearly went to use it on the Snorlax. Mantyke has kind of rumbled the Torment game here. We see Water Pulse from Mantyke now, which is going to have same type attack bonus behind it, dealing a little bit of chip damage. Snorlax wakes up immediately, though, so maybe that Torment will come into play. Uses the Metronome this turn, goes for Pin Missile, not going to be very effective, but is going to deal physical damage at least. We get 2 hits, which is guaranteed. Oh, only the 2 hits there. Now, Snorlax will have to struggle on the next turn, which means it'll take 25% of its max HP as recoil damage. We see Soft Boil from Munchlax, even though its HP is full, which was a big mistake there from Munchlax. So really, the Mantyke and Mantine team have the advantage right now. Like, they're definitely in the driver's seat, I would say. Here comes Mantine, though, who is going to go for Mist. Sure, shroud yourself in Mist, play the defensive game, but you definitely need to be going on the attack at some point. You can't just rely on Snorlax to knock itself out. You've got to do some damage, at least. Here comes Mantyke, though, who's going to go for Bulldoze, which won't affect Mantine. Great play there. Going to slow down both Snorlax and Munchlax while doing a tiny bit of chip damage to each of them there as well. But, of course, we know Snorlax is going to struggle this turn because of that Torment. So let's see how much damage its struggle does. It does a decent chunk of damage to Mantyke, but down goes its HP by 25% of maximum because of that recoil damage. Here comes Munchlax, though, who's going to go for Soak, which is a very interesting play there, because that's going to change Mantine into a pure water type, I believe, rather than water flying. So we'll see how that comes into play going forward, I suppose. Over to Mantine now, though, of course, because it is the fastest thing on the field to start off the next turn. And Mantine is going to go for Wild Charge onto which of its opponents there? Onto the Snorlax there for a tiny bit of damage. Mantine and Mantyke really can't do much damage with their physical attacks. They need to focus on their special attacks. But even then, Snorlax and Munchlax do have high special defense and high HP as well. There, you see Aeroblast not doing much damage at all to Munchlax. Mantine and Mantyke really need to focus. We see Cotton Spore failing from Snorlax. That's very unfortunate there. No reduced speed. I believe that's what Cotton Spore does. Brutal Swing from Munchlax, hitting everybody on the field there for a little bit of chip damage. What I was going to say is Mantyke and Mantine's best bet is to go for things like Poison, things like Infestation, Wrap, Bind, because then you're guaranteeing slow but sure damage. Here's a Drain Punch, though, from Mantine, which does a decent bit of chip damage there to Snorlax and is going to restore a little bit of Mantine's HP there. And, of course, this is the turn where Snorlax is going to have to struggle once again because of that Torment. Here comes Mantyke, though. Mantyke's going to go for Taunt, which is a great play there. Oh, but used it on the Snorlax. If it had used it on the Munchlax, it would have guaranteed itself the win here, because Snorlax is going to struggle anyway on this turn and basically knock itself out with recoil damage. Did a decent amount of damage to Mantine there, but if it would have taunted the Munchlax there and taken away Munchlax's Metronome, they could have guaranteed themselves the equalizer and the chance to compete in the third round for an opportunity at the semi-finals. Will that mistake be Mantine and Mantyke's undoing here? I guess we'll see going forward. We see Withdraw from Mantine, not going on the offensive, going on the defensive, maybe trying to reduce the amount of damage that Munchlax can deal. But Munchlax is still very much in this game. We see Mantyke, though, going for Sludge Bomb, maybe hoping to get the Poison this time. Does a little bit chip damage, does get the Poison, so Munchlax is now on a timer, and this is what I was talking about. With Mantine and Mantyke not being able to deal much damage to this team. Oh, there's a Seismic Toss from Munchlax, though, ignoring all stat changes and status conditions and whatnot, doing 50 hit points of guaranteed damage. Down goes Mantyke. Now it's just Mantine and Munchlax with Munchlax on that timer. Munchlax being on that timer is about the only way that Mantine and Mantyke can really deal much damage to the Snorlax and Munchlax team. That is the prowess that they need to go with. And here comes Mantine, though, who is going to go for Freeze Dry onto Munchlax there for some Ice-type neutral damage. Not a great deal of damage done, but combine it with the poison damage at the end of each turn, and that is a concern for Munchlax, who goes for a Sacred Sword. Of course, it's going to be neutral damage this time because the flying type has been removed from Mantine from that earlier soak. There's the poison damage, bringing Munchlax down to less than half its max HP. Munchlax needs to bust out a miracle right now. An electric type move would be the saving grace for Munchlax here. Actually, even saying that, it's not 4 times effective anymore. Speaking of electric type moves, here's a Thunderfang from Mantine onto Munchlax, again chipping away, and of course that poison damage is going to take effect at the end of the turn. Munchlax needs to bust out electric type or a grass type, but Heal Pulse is the absolute worst move you could have chosen, because now you've healed Mantine up to full HP. You've got to think round 2 is going to Mantine. Unless Munchlax can pull out a Horn Drill or a Sheer Cold, it is not going to get the victory in this round. It's very much looking like Mantine is going to equalize. His super effective Cross Chop, is that going to be enough? Let's see. Yeah, it takes out Munchlax. It's 1 apiece with that critical hit from the Cross Chop. So we are going to a round 3. It's anybody's game. You've got to think that Snorlax and Munchlax have the advantage as we go into turn 3. But as we've seen, if Mantine and Mantyke can just pull out a couple of those debilitating end-of-turn damage moves like Infestation, like Toxic, like Bind, like Wrap, like Whirlpool, any of those will be the undoing of Snorlax and Munchlax. We see Rock Tomb slowing down, Rock Tomb as we normally say, slowing down the Snorlax, taking a little bit of damage away from its HP. Here we see Mantyke with the Rock Slide, doing a bit of chip damage to each of the Munchlax and Snorlax, maybe hoping for a flinch. Doesn't get it on the Snorlax, though, who is going to go out on the attack with Happy Hour. Very confident Snorlax there, getting caught up in the happy atmosphere. Not even bothering to move this turn, it's so confident. Will that be a mistake on Snorlax's part? We see an Icicle Crash, neutral damage from Munchlax here onto which of its opponents? Onto the Mantine there for a big chunk of starting damage. Starting off strong is Munchlax, even without Snorlax dealing any damage that turn. Now over to Mantine once again. What is on Mantine's mind as we go into this turn? Goes for Bulk Up, going to increase its attack and its defense by 1 stage apiece, wanting to be able to actually deal some damage and protect itself from the physical attacks, which will be ultimately its undoing, or could be its undoing, I suppose. Here's a Gear Grind from Mantyke onto the Munchlax there for the tiniest little bit of chip damage with each hit. But a tiny bit of chip damage adds up to a decent amount of chip damage, I would say. Who's asking me? You're asking me. Nobody asked? I don't care. Here we see Thunderbolt, though, from Snorlax. That's going to be 4 times effective on Mantyke. Big damage there. Doesn't get the paralysis, but Mantyke is in a dangerous spot right now. Less than half its max HP. We see Feather Dance from Munchlax onto the Mantyke there, reducing its already laughable physical attack there by 2 stages. So Mantyke needs to bust out only special attacks, because otherwise it's got nothing. Here comes Mantine, though. What's Mantine going to do? Going to go for Work Up. So now it's going to increase its attack by 1 stage and its special attack by 1 stage. It's now at +2 attack, +1 special attack, +1 defense. So it's really trying to bust out some firepower here, but really could do with going on the offensive at this point. We see Petal Dance from Mantyke, so it's going to start off basically the grass type Thrash. Not a lot of damage there to Munchlax, but we know it's locked into Petal Dance, so it's guaranteed to do some damage each turn. Snorlax goes for Wish here, going to restore its HP in a couple of turns' time. Probably still feeling pretty confident right now that it's going to get that wish coming true. And here we see Munchlax, who's going for Wrap. These are the moves that I told you about that the Mantine and the Mantyke team need to adopt in order to get some decent damage off on the Snorlax and the Munchlax. There we see the end of the turn and the Wrap damage taking its hold on Mantine there. So far, it's looking like Snorlax and Munchlax are in the driver's seat right now. But of course, as we've seen in Metromania time and time again over these 11 seasons, anything can happen. Here we see a Mega Drain from Mantine onto Snorlax for barely any damage. Is going to get a little bit of HP restoring. Probably not enough to counter the wrap damage that it's going to take at the end of the turn. There's the Petal Dance from Mantyke. Not doing a great deal of damage, but the Petal Dance has ended and confused Mantyke there. So now it's over to Snorlax for the retaliation. We see Baton Pass. That's going to fail. So that's a mistake that the Mantyke and Mantine team could capitalize on. We see Snorlax going for a Hyper Beam with same type attack bonus behind it. Let's see how much damage that deals. Of course, it's a special attack, though. So Mantyke is able to eat that up. Barely any damage there. Snorlax's wish comes through. It's back up to full HP. That's got to be very, very disappointing for the Mantine and Mantyke team as Mantine falls below less than half its max HP. Not looking good. Both of the Mantyke team in the yellow. Now we see Mantine starting things off for this turn, and it's going to be a Leech Life, maybe looking to sap some more HP from Munchlax there. It's a good hit, but again, it's not going to restore quite enough HP to counterattack that constant wrap damage. It really needs to take Munchlax out of contention here. Mantyke is confused, but is going to ignore that confusion as it gets ready to go on the attack with a Wild Charge. Of course, that's going to have recoil damage. It's got reduced attack as well, so just tickles Snorlax there and doesn't do a great deal of recoil damage as a result. Now over to Snorlax. Snorlax is ready with Iron Head. That is going to be resisted by these Water-type Pokemon. It's not enough to take down Mantyke, but Mantyke is in a very dangerous position as Munchlax has to recharge because of the Hyper Beam from the previous turn. Mantine sitting pretty at just above half its max HP, but of course it's still suffering that wrap damage over and over again. Here comes Mantine though, ready and raring to go with a Zing Zap, maybe hoping to flinch its opponent. That lands on the Snorlax there for a decent chunk of damage with that increased attack. Mantyke's going to snap out of that confusion, not suffering a single self-hit. With a heavy slam, of course, it's a Mantyke, so it's not particularly heavy. So that won't do a great deal of damage there. Just tickles Munchlax there. Not really much damage dealt at all. But now we're over to Snorlax, and Snorlax is going to go for Gyro Ball. Another Steel-type move. Not very effective on Mantyke there, so not a great deal of damage dealt. And now it's over to Munchlax to see what it's got on its mind. Munchlax is going to go for Bullet Seed for some neutral damage. Lucky for the Mantine team, it was on Mantyke, so only one hit dealt there. Imagine if it had got 5 hits on Mantine there. Although Mantine is very much on a timer right now. This is looking like a foregone conclusion, but I'm not going to count anybody out at this stage of the game because we've seen battles look this one-sided, turn around in a heartbeat. Over to Mantine now. It's got to mount some kind of offense here. Goes for Scary Face. That was a big mistake right there. The Scary Face, of course, is going to slow down Snorlax by 2 stages, but that's not going to help you in the long run, especially when you're on this timer because of the wrap damage. We see Freeze Dry, which will be 4 times effective from Munchlax because it's super effective on water types and flying types. Brings the Mantine down into the wrap damage zone. Here comes Snorlax, though, who's going to go for Dragon Tail as well, and that has to be all she wrote from the Mantine and Mantyke team. Down they go. Snorlax and Munchlax are the first of your Season 11 semi-finalists. What a contest. That was absolutely fantastic. Really, really enjoyed that one. Very back and forth. Of course, tune in next week. We'll find out Munchlax and Snorlax's opponents as Riolu and Lucario take on Togepi and Togekiss. Make sure you don't miss it.
So thank you for watching another episode of Metromania. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Share this video with a friend. Go to twitch.tv/AceTrainLiam for all of my live streams. And of course, use code ACE for money off G Fuel. But until next time, I'm Ace Trainer Liam. Keep on training.
Make sure you don't miss it.